Dave, how did you get pneumonia?
I'm not quite sure. I mean, I had bronchitis over the holidays, and I've been taking medication, what the doctor prescribes, but it's just beating the hell out of me.
I bet you it's those Canadian meds, because they don't have near as much power as the American meds.
Yeah, I'm not taking the little blue one, so...
They made you stop taking that one while you take the other one?
Yeah, they said don't take them both at the same time.
Gotcha. So, there you go. Cough it, hack it up.
Don't make me laugh. Oh, God. It's not going to be pretty. Happy New Year.
And, wow, that was like almost a whole month ago. But Happy New Year.
Yeah, no, it's been a while. I mean, you've been here, there, and everywhere, and I haven't been either anywhere that you have been. So tell me a little bit about the Chili Bowl, because unfortunately I had a hard time getting my short arms into my deep pockets to pay that $6.95 so I could listen to it online.
Yeah, it was a typical Chili Bowl for me. Unfortunately, I had a ton of luck going through my preliminary heat races. Went through the qualifier, started fifth. I started sixth. I was high point guy. Started sixth. Came through third in that. Ended up being second high point guy going into the feature. Got really not a very good start. And on the second lap, I stalled my engine going into turn one to avoid running in the back of somebody. Fell clear back to like 12th. Raced my way all the way back up to 6th, which at that point, with 3 laps to go, was perfectly content with 6th. Obviously, I want to get the top 3, get locked in Saturday's A main, but from where I started to where I went with the hard work to get back up to 6th, I knew kind of what that was going to give me for a lineup on Saturday for the 26th annual Chili Bowl. And coming off of turn 4 on a restart, 4th place, took out 5th place, and unfortunately I had nowhere to go. Ran into the side of them, turned over sideways, flipped over. It was actually pretty exciting. Thanks to a fan in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I do have some footage of that entire wreck with those GoPro cameras, one from the front and one from the back. So hopefully, maybe with the help of Karen, I can get those downloaded. We can get those onto something. If it's a matter if it's just onto YouTube or if I can get it put onto on the website. But it was pretty interesting stuff. But when you go to the Chili Bowl, it just comes down to luck. And unfortunately, I put myself in a bad position. Got taken out. Had to go through the D mains, the alphabet soup on Saturday. I actually had some brake issues in the D main, and I had 0 brakes for the final, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 laps of the 15-lap race. And really, ultimately, I almost gave up. I almost pulled in the infield because I just had nothing. If someone was put out in front of me, I would have, probably destroyed my car and their car. And luckily, the racetrack was pretty slick. Rolled around the bottom. Still made it to a transfer position. I was so furious because it was something of my own doing. Actually, when I was caught up in the wreck on Thursday night and the preliminary night, it destroyed the chassis. Thankfully, Wayne Simmons, who built my F5 chassis, his shop is 30 minutes from the racetrack. He took the car, went back to the racetrack. I think he spent about 9 hours working on the car. We had it tore down to, basically a frame and an engine at 11 o'clock Thursday night. He had it back to his shop, worked till about 3 in the morning, went home, took a couple hours of sleep, came back Friday morning, and worked very hard. I got the car back at the racetrack at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Basically had to reassemble and build the car. But like I said, it was like problem after problem. Looked like I had a good shot transferring out of the C main. Someone in front of me spun out. I got caught up with 5 laps to go, and ultimately just didn't have enough time to get back up to a transfer spot. So it was disappointing. We had a fast race car, had Oshweekend on board again for this year. Rockwell Security, Dean Guitars came on board and helped out a little bit. We did raise $3,500 for the Parent Child Center of Tulsa. They they had a little auction going. I think they raised $10,000 on their own on Friday, and for us to add another $3,500 on Saturday was truly tremendous. We had 2 different fans through a raffle. One won the guitar, and another lucky fan won some hot passes that I think they're going to exercise those passes for the Daytona 500. So, all around we had a blast. Kristen and Faith made it out. Obviously my parents were there taking care of a race car and selling T-shirts. So, I had a lot of fun there in Tulsa, which is pretty typical of that whole week when you're there.
It's that's how you described it. Party from sun up till sundown. One big party.
One big party with a little bit of racing, and this year a little bit of racing and a lot of working on race cars, because I spent a lot of time having to get everything fixed.
Yeah, well, I'd like to say it's a learning curve, but I think you're beyond that.
Yeah, this year was my 16th year, 16th year competing, and you know what's going to happen when you go there. You know that you got to stay out of trouble and hope for the best, and unfortunately, I didn't avoid the trouble.
Yeah. Before the whole thing got started, was there some issues with your car as far as inspection?
Well, usually when you go to the Tulsa Chili Bowl, there's not very many rules. And, a couple years ago I did some experimenting with some different tires, different size of tires. And this year I came back with a little bit larger tire than I've ever tried there. And ran it in practice. And it was very limited on the amount of stagger that I could get with that tire. And it made it difficult. But nonetheless, it raised enough eyebrows that after I ran it on practice night on Monday, the chief steward for the Chili Bowl came up and said, what do you have going on there? It's pretty cool. Okay, now don't run it. We're one of those deals where, I understand they need to have rules, and sometimes they need to set those guidelines. I just hated the fact that, I thought I had maybe a little bit of advantage, and spent a lot of time and effort trying to get everything figured out there to get it shut down.
Yeah. That bites.
It did, but at the end of the day, it really didn't matter. It was, I took a brand new car. It's the first time that I had that particular chassis there, and when we go back, or hopefully this year, I can go out and run the car a little bit. There's some things I'd like to try to fix. You literally only get maybe a handful of laps before you have to start racing there at Tulsa, and finding that combination is very difficult. It's a very unique racetrack, so there's not a particular track that you're going to go race United States that's going to mimic the Tulsa Chili Bowl, and I think that's why the Swindell family they figured out something. They've got a huge advantage with their 2 cars. It doesn't matter if it's Kevin's car or if it's Sammy's car. Those 2 cars look identical on the racetrack, the way they handle. It's completely different than any other 270 cars that were in that building, and there's a reason why. And those 2 guys clearly dominated the entire feature on Saturday, and right now they got the competition. Knowing when you go to Tulsa Chili Bowl at this point, you're running for 3rd.
Yeah. Maybe they're running up here to Schwingen.
Well, the funny thing is, some of the other racetracks that they've been to or they've run this year, you just don't see that same kind of, I won't say advantage, but you don't see that kind of dominance out of them. So, again, it's something that they're doing there in Tulsa, and maybe it is something that might not be legal at most sanctioning bodies, but it's so far still legal there in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Wow. All right. Well, that's the first part of the month. Now that I have managed to find a few more gray hairs here and up here, you've kept us in suspense, and you've got some pretty exciting news. So, shell out, young man.
I do have some really exciting news, and it's going to be announced. I think the press release went out this afternoon, so it'll probably be more posted a little bit more tomorrow. But starting for 2012 season, I've joined the Robinson Blakeney Cup team, which is a new Cup team being formed this year by Jay Robinson and a new partner, Troy Blakeney. And I know most people have heard of Jay Robinson. He's been in the Nationwide Series for over a decade. I think he's actually been one of the teams that's run on a more consistent basis, and maybe possibly run the longest active owner in the Nationwide Series. And, that's pretty impressive. Sat down with him, a very, very intelligent gentleman, and his goal is to be successful. And, he takes a lot of pride in his race team. He does a lot of things himself. And, I think that there's a lot of possibility there. The really cool thing for me is Tony Furr, which I worked with in years past at Whitney Motorsports, is the crew chief. A lot of the same guys are going to be in place there. So, that learning curve of building relationship with a new crew chief and finding that chemistry, we're already past all of that. So, they've acquired some really nice equipment at this point. The plan is to run Toyotas. They're getting their engines from Joey Arrington. Going into the Daytona 500, we've got a new sponsor, which is a little different in the NASCAR world. With the it's a little bit different, but coming in with the new Israel Racing, New American Israel Racing, and they've been okayed by NASCAR to be a part of the sport. That's usually a process that you have to go through with a new sponsor. Had some meetings with them today, and very excited about the opportunities that may come about with this new sponsor and this new program. So, it's just a matter of going out and raising awareness for all the people in Israel, and it's a Christian-based sponsorship, and like I said, they're going to have a website. It's a very, very cool, kind of a grassroots campaign that's being started by some people here in the States. And with that, we have Green Stuff is coming back on board. They were worked a little bit last year with Tony and the guys at the 46 team. They're going to be on for about 10 races. So, right now we've got some sponsorships going. They're currently working with some other people. They're very interested. So, the plan is to run and race the entire season. No starting parks are scheduled as of this point. Obviously, we've got to go. We got to make the races. We got to be smart about what we do every weekend. Obviously, if we go out and destroy a lot of equipment, all those things cost a lot of money. So if we can go out there, be smart, build the team. I think in years to come, it'll be very successful.
I believe they are also from somewhere in the Middle East, so it's kind of interesting to see them come to NASCAR.
No, it's definitely a very cool thing to have happen. And, obviously a lot of the fans in NASCAR are Christian-based fans. And, I think, if you look at all of the professional sports, I think NASCAR races are the only races in all the races that a prayer is said before the beginning of every race weekend. And, there's just a lot of cool things that are going to be involved with this new program, and most importantly, they're going to be on the hood of the car for Daytona 500. They're working on expanding in the sponsorship. Hopefully, if things work out on their end, they're going to be the sponsor for a good portion of the season, and obviously that's great for me because that's going to allow me to go out and race at a higher level. The more sponsorship, the more ability we do to have to work on cars, engines, personnel, and going out there racing hard, knowing that if something bad happens, we got another car back at the shop ready to go for the following week.
Yeah. Now, as far as running Toyotas, is there any consideration or plan to try and partner up with one of these teams that has points that is being used from 2011?
As of right now, no. I know from some of the rumors I've heard referring to most likely the Red Bull teams, I guess that team would be a different situation than most teams that are looking to sell points or do something like their transfer points, I guess is what NASCAR calls it now. And, I've been told that, unless they sell their entire operation, I guess they're really not interested in just selling just the points. Obviously the owner of that team is pretty financially set. So it's not a matter of they got to sell everything to try to make a quick buck for any reason, and the amount of money that they've lost. It would be difficult to recoup. I'm sure what they think that everything is worth. So. As of right now, we're looking at having to race our way into the Daytona 500, which I accomplished that last year with a car that probably wasn't as good and didn't have the horsepower. Obviously, it took a lot of luck last year, but with the things I've learned and the equipment being a little bit better, there may be a chance that we might be able to either qualify our way in on speed or just find a buddy out there and work our way into the race.
What number?
The number is going to be number 49. I know that, with Jay Robinson and his previous numbers, I know that 28 has been a number of his, 49 was a number, and 4 also was a number of consideration. I think he really had his heart set on the 28 number, which, obviously has a lot of history behind it, and it's... I don't want to say it's anyone's number in particular, but it was a matter of it was a little bit more difficult to get. I think that 49 is a number, like I said, Jay's had for many years with his nationwide team. Was comfortable having. At the end of the day, he wasn't going to let the number make or break his program, but he definitely wanted to try to get one of the numbers he's been associated with in the past.
That's cool. When will we see some renditions of what the car's going to look like? And
the car is actually it's a pretty unique paint scheme right now. It's going to be a metallic gold. It's got a large eagle on the hood of it. Hopefully we can get something posted here pretty quick. I know that they just got the paint scheme all finalized just a couple days ago, but it's a very unique, and hopefully it'll come out to be a very beautiful car. I know it's difficult to get the metallic look through in a paint scheme, but there's already been a lot of good buzz that's come through this new sponsorship. I'll be filming a piece tomorrow at the shop with the 700 Club, so it's going to be me, Jay Robinson, Tony Furr, as well as some of the people involved in the New America Israel racing. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Very cool. Driving, they've come from where?
They've purchased a couple different cars. A few of the cars came from Earnhardt Ganassi. I know that they've also purchased a couple cars from Michael Waltrip Racing. I think the Speedway car is actually a car that Michael had ran. So we know that obviously the car has the speed in it based on the way it ran last. Obviously Tony will take and make some changes that he knows that make the car either drive a little bit better or possibly a little bit faster in the single car runs. And there's a lot of equipment still out there, and as some of these relationships get formed out, you have to keep in mind that this team basically formed about 2.5 weeks ago, so they've done a pretty phenomenal job getting the things ready at the stage that they are now, and continue to work very, very hard. I know the guys are still at the shop this evening up till like 7, 8 o'clock at night, so everyone's working really hard on trying to make sure when we go to Daytona that we're fully prepared and ready to go.
That's incredible. It's great news, and I'm sure that everyone that follows you, Facebook, Twitter, in real life, the stalkers, they'll be happy that you're that you're going to be back at the track on a regular basis, and only good things to come from the Daytona 500. So obviously the largest race of the year to qualify and to be able to race your way in it. Like you said, you did it with a little bit of help last year, and hopefully we'll be in the same position that we were in last year. So
sure. Well, I mean, the most important part and the biggest thing for me is knowing that every weekend I go to the racetrack. Obviously for these first 5 races we're going to have to qualify our way in, but after lap 50, I'm going to still be on the racetrack racing for every position, and it's been difficult trying to explain to fans why a person starts cars or why a team has to start park, and some teams do it because it's profitable, but for the teams I've been with, in most part, are doing it because it's a way of survival. It's a way to stay in the sport. Obviously we still were able to run a handful of races as either the sponsorship came about or to the point where the team had raised enough money from making the Startin Parks that we could go run some of the races that were a little bit that made more sense to go race. The ones that either had the higher purses or had the lower amount of laps, which was easier on the equipment. But obviously now out of that category, back into racing for positions and completing laps, and hopefully take this team. We've got goals of obviously running inside the top 25 on a weekly basis. Is hopefully we can get some more sponsorship, bring some more money into the team, upgrade the equipment, and then slowly work our way into competing at the level these teams are doing with multi-million-dollar sponsors. And based on the time I've spent with Tony and these guys, I know that we can do that with a third or basically a third of the budget.
Right. Now, as far as the Nationwide team goes, is he still going to be running the Nationwide car?
He's moved, from what I understand, he's moved the Nationwide program over to another shop. Someone's going to take care of that equipment. So, I mean, he's focusing 100% on this new Cup program. I know that he has told Tony and myself that, there's a couple races where he may have some sponsorship for the Nationwide car. I know that he purchased some pretty nice cars last year, and has told me and Tony that, possibly if it's a Charlotte race or some of the races that are closer, if we'd like to go run the Nationwide car and see if we can just go out there and try to be a spoiler, win a race, that he was all for it. So, there's a good chance we might pull a Nationwide car and go run, two or three races with his equipment. I've actually had a discussion with another gentleman who has purchased some of Rusty Wallace's cars that's looking to go out and run maybe 10 to 15 races this year, starting a new team. They'd be interested in having me run a handful of races with that team too. So, hopefully, it'll be a year where I can bounce back and forth and go run some Nationwide races as well as compete at the highest level in the Sprint Cup Series.
Hallelujah. It took all I had in me.
JJ, we have a fan that wants to know your thoughts about the new rule of not being able to talk to each other on the radio as drivers. What do you think about that?
I mean, it goes in two different directions. Obviously the first time that I ran a car doing the tandem drafting, I guess you'd call it, I didn't have radio communication with anyone around me. It was just a matter of going through the spotter and trying to figure it out. And obviously I didn't go out there and wreck in a lap. So it can still be done. I don't think it's a matter. It's a little bit more difficult working with spotters to do it, but at the same time, some of the closing rate with the tandem two-car draft is, significantly faster than what it used to be in the days when we were in a pack. So, there's pros and cons to doing it. I think they're doing their best to try to keep teams from doing it. And, I don't think there's any way you can possibly keep the drivers from doing it because it's such a huge advantage, even if it's just for being able to do it for a lap or two. And, based on what I've heard about the test, there's going to be a lot of the race for the Daytona 500 will probably be a pack, but I know probably in the last 10, 15 laps, everyone's going to find a partner. They're going to split off and do whatever they can to try to win that race. And, hopefully we're still around there at the end that we can find a partner and give it our best shot.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, that's incredible. So now I can release the 2012 JJ Yeley Fantasy NASCAR Sprint Cup pool. Now that we finally got all this out of the way, God knows I've been waiting for this for weeks. So.
Well, the best part is now when I decide to take myself in the pool, I won't be penalizing myself because I believe I finished in the back half of the 2011 pool, if I remember correctly.
the Mexican Commodore.
Yeah, I think he's. I think it was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't. The guys you picked last year, just don't pick them this year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty good idea there. I appreciate that, Dave. I'll make sure I double check everyone I had last year. I scratch them all completely off the list.
Yeah. Funny, some of those guys aren't in the same cars they were in last year, so you might not want to be picking them anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Just saying. So that's good. I mean, we'll get that out and get that on jjyelly.com by Tuesday. Today's Tuesday, Wednesday. I would say by tomorrow night, and then we'll have it on Trackside Tools, and start tweeting about it once we get it up, and let's build it. You build it, they will come. So.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely blow it out. We'll get that going again. I've had a tremendous amount of people on Twitter here of late asking if we're going to do speed dice again in 2012, and I think we'll definitely keep that on board. I know I had a lot of fun with it last year. The latter half of the season, just as long as I either if I could either remember or I wasn't too busy, one of the two, that I could start it early enough to remind people to send in their guesses. I mean, I was averaging between 250 people and almost 400 people, so it was a lot of fun. I hope the fans enjoyed it, and I think we'll definitely bring it back for 2012.
Yeah. Well,
go do the 700 Club at 7.
Enjoy.
Okay, thank you.
Amen.
Ciao. And keep in touch.
All right. Good night. Thank you.
Days are here again.